All right, welcome to the closing for the 13th GiveCamp. How's everybody feel? Yay? All good? I have to say it's a slightly smaller crowd than we're used to, because normally when we have like 12 people, it's still, we have a small crowd for closing normally anyway, because people are tired, they go home, they don't want to hang out, but you know, I'm glad you guys stayed. You know, I almost thought we'd be doing this just the, you know, the three of us. And everybody else would have done, we're out. So, you know, this is awesome you guys stayed this long, wanted to see it. We really are impressed with the passion this weekend. Once again, this is our kind of a reboot. First one since COVID. We didn't know what to expect. Obviously, we're smaller, we only did 5 nonprofits, but normally we could do 12. So we didn't know if everybody would come here on Friday and we wouldn't see you again. So all I got to say is it's one committed group of people coming back. I think we were talking about it as organizers, and it was like, this is, I think people are craving being back together, especially when we work in IT. We're doing everything virtual because we can, and that's just where we live. And there's things that we do that way now, and there's good things about that. But I think people are craving being back together. So it's good to see everybody here this weekend. And so everybody, give a round of applause for everybody being here this weekend. With that, we'll get started here. So this statistics for this weekend, basically we had 30 volunteer developers, database administrators, and designers, and 7 organizers, 12 nonprofit representatives across the 5 nonprofits. So that brings us to a total of 49 people that were here at some part of the weekend, which once again is awesome for our reboot. So once again, thank you for being here. We always run these stats every week because the impact we have, we want to show the impact we have as an event. So we take the number of volunteers, people. Not that the nonprofits didn't do work, but we take minus the nonprofits, the actual developers, designers, team leads doing work. There's approximately 475 hours volunteered, which resulted in $62,000. Eric likes to put $62,013 for the whole weekend, and that's something we take from industry. We basically say, here's how much it would cost to bring a team of developers and designers together as a blended rate, and that's the amount of dollars that we basically gave this weekend. So, and you gave of your time. So thank you for that. And Eric says it's basically $12,000 per nonprofit, $12,500. So that's awesome. And then this is our total impact over the last 13 years. So we've done 128 nonprofit projects across the 13 years. We've had 781 volunteers over that time. Obviously, some of the same people. So we don't single out and say, you know, Alan's been here. He's been here what, 12 times? So it's not one of Alan, it's 12 Alans have been here. So that's the total, total number of volunteers each year. And so for a grand total of $1,855,762 of value over 13 years. Average of 14, basically 15,000 per project over 13 years. So just wanted to, the only time we'll shoot our own horn. Let's put it that way. We get so. And these are kind of stats that we want you guys to take with you, especially the nonprofit, you know, to your peers and you know, kind of talk about what we do here, because we're all word of mouth. We don't do a lot of, you know, and so we do put stuff in publications, and we talked about that with nonprofits. But if you guys, when you're out doing your nonprofit, all your nonprofit stuff with your peers, please talk about it. So. Sure.
Mars and
yes. Yes, we can do that. We'll actually send out a survey afterwards.
It's on our website too.
And it's on the website.
We keep the cumulative total on our website, but we can get out this year's stats to you.
Yep. With that, we will start the demos.
We'll put the new nonprofit team that you guys are all part of. So we'll pop it up again.
Yes. So Affinity Project with Brian as the lead. Brian, come on up. Basically, there's teams. You can just click on your links. Yep. Got it right back there. Okay.
Okay, so Affinity Project, to remind you all, Diane is the founder of it. It was set up to help veterans suffering from PTSD, mental health situations. They work a lot with the VA Center down in Kentucky, and most of the Affinity Project staff resides down in Kentucky, so they decided to take advantage of GiveCamp because I guess word of mouth is so successful that it filtered down that far. They started out with nothing. They had social media pages, and they wanted a public-facing website. And the first communication I had with Diane was Monday, so less than a week ago was the first communication we had. And I am not a web developer by trade, so I was pretty nervous coming in about, oh boy, I don't know. On Friday, we stood up a team, and I said, we're bare metal, we have nothing. So we had some growing pains with infrastructure setup and stuff. There's a lot of lessons learned as a first-time project lead. The team members that glommed onto me over in that corner turned out to be awesome. We had a pretty big team at first, and I think every team member found a niche that they could fulfill. And then the ones you see left are the ones that became very passionate because they found a niche that we just couldn't let go of. So we had team members that are not here contributed equally well, but this group that's on that row back there, they were just kind of to the bitter end fixing up this site. This site is not quite production, it's kind of prototype because we didn't totally overcome some of our hosting infrastructure, but we have a game plan for after the fact. So basically this site will be public facing, and it's essentially a single front page scrolling site where we are trying to introduce the public to the Affinity Project, who they are, what they provide, and specifically how the public can get involved and help. Diane can speak to, I cannot speak to the passion that's behind the Affinity Project, so I'm not going to try. I'm just going to talk about kind of the project that came about. The best thing about the weekend for me as a project lead was seeing the nonprofit and the developer team, as this thing came alive. In fact, Diane said, it's coming alive. The smile started once we overcame the infrastructure problems and creativity started. So this will be their first website, right? It's in WordPress. It will be hosted on DreamHost. We're pretty sure it's currently hosted on DreamHost through an account that one of our team members set up. In terms of features, it's the here. I already said kind of the here we are, who we are, our mission statement. And then now some of the more whiz-bang stuff is there's a gratitude wall that allows folks to post. Go ahead and carefully public demo for the first time. We've been testing all morning. So we've got a way to post, and like any good website, this post does not go directly to the public-facing page. So there's a mechanism for whatever post happened, they will get content reviewed by an admin, and then once reviewed and published, they end up here on the front page. Images are optional, and again, this is all managed by the 2B admin of the site. They have an events poster here, and again, this is admin only, providing events. And then there's some of this is placeholder material still, and then some contact material for how to get in touch, either via snail mail or communication by email. I think, in terms of wrap up, I think this met the goals of Diane and her group, which was tell the world who the Affinity Project is and why they're there, and to provide some interactive content that's a little more directed than you get with a Facebook page. It's a little less kind of haphazard, and it's not suffering from it's not falling a victim of algorithm and who posted when, etc. So this allows them control over their content, but it's still dynamic. So that's my spiel. This is my first GiveCamp, so I don't even know what I'm supposed to say up here.
Perfect. Spot your team.
Oh, yeah. So, team, you want to stand up? So we got Chris, Reed, and Vidhu. James left earlier. And then we had some team members that went virtual starting yesterday. Some of the Bobby and was very helpful on some of the web hosting stuff in particular. We had a few other folks that contributed some time on Friday and early Saturday. So, yeah, this team did great. Nothing you saw here is I can't take credit for anything on screen. Like, this was all them, not me. All I did was test and say, that doesn't look right. I'm a systems guy, and actually that's my day job, is to tell the electrical engineers and the software guys their stuff doesn't work. So I did that here today. Yeah, so anyway, that's it. Thanks.
All right. So up next is Epic House. It'll be Chris. All right, Chris. Teams here.
So this weekend, our big means was to try to get a site that was easy to update. You could add more than 6 pages, so we didn't have to cannibalize other pages, and just make it feel a little bit newer. Part of that was we updated the logo, and we kind of updated the color scheme. So here's the older site, and a big thing that we've noticed here too. The other thing too is we were getting more like with donations. Meredith had already started looking at Zephy as a donation platform, and so on the new site we're going to use that, which is going to help with, for instance, the annual dinner, which would you print something off, you filled it out, you sent a check in. So now we could potentially do online event registration, which is less work for Epic House. And here's the new site. Not everything's up yet. It looks like it's being a little slower. It's thinking again.
Live demos. It's okay. That's what happens.
It came up this.
So the first thing we did was we put a new logo together, new layout, much more, I feel like a little bit more of a modern theme. This is actually the house, this big header image. And yeah, team this weekend really put in a lot of effort, especially dealing with performance issues and all that stuff. Team here is Ken, who I think has learned more about Elementor than he probably ever wished he'd known. He's probably watched a tutorial video multiple times. Meredith, who has been just an amazing point of contact, she's easy to work with. Brianna and Ryan were like, this is my first time leading, and like those two were just asking questions that first night. I was like, I probably should have asked that the last few times. That was actually not a good question. I should probably list these out. I want to do this next year. And Brianna keeping us in line, keeping everything moving. She worked her butt off. But Jim and Charlie both working on getting the site up, working through performance issues, just the technical knowledge of those two. We call Jim like an android or robot. The dude is just really, really smart. And even Bagat helped out as well through the weekend. The team was just amazing this weekend.
Chris isn't going to like me saying this, but I'm going to. This is his first GiveCamp team, which, you know, Brian too, and we had a couple first tries, we'll get to that, but Chris was a very tentative team lead, but it's a growth opportunity for him, so good job, Chris. You did awesome. All right. From Fathers to Fearless, that would be Shiraz. His first time leading a team too.
First time presenting, second time technical.
Second time technically.
Yes.
You were technically before?
Yes. I
What?
failed a lot. I was probably the last time.
Oh, did you? Well, that's probably, I was gonna bring that up.
I don't care about that. All right. Okay. So this is an application we custom built. Candace goes into schools to teach what she calls the Bridge curriculum. It's an acronym. I don't know what it is. It's too long to remember. But basically, the whole gist of the project was that she wants to be able to go into schools and be able to teach them whatever she does in the curriculum, but then be able to take attendance and be able to do surveys pre and post to actually see the growth of kids as they go through these programs. So we built an application where she should be able to log in, manage the whole survey process, but then also be able to manage. So also the participants are able to get in and put in the surveys, questions, and things like that. She does that right now on pieces of paper. So there's no data collection of any kind, or create reporting and any of those kinds of things. So we can log in to the page. You log in. If you go into surveys, these are what we call the management screens, where you're able to actually manage what kind of surveys you're going to have. So this is the pre-survey. This is the pre-survey, where you can create new ones. Just the name you can post, create it. Then we're able to go into each of the surveys to see what they have, any information. Then you can tie questions to them. We have different kinds of question types and things like that. Then we can pick options for each of the questions, what order they'll be, whether or not there is other, things like that. Just the forms that you've never really seen in a question, like disagree, agree, things like that. You can put everything in here. We wanted to make it fully customizable so that after this weekend, Candace doesn't have to come back to a developer and be like, oh, can you add these questions, blah, blah, blah. We wanted to make it fully configurable so you can choose to do everything that you wanted to. Create questions, question options, everything like that. Multiple questions, singles, open length ones, distributed ones, everything that you would like to create. Survey section is similar. It's just sections in the. If this would make more sense if I actually showed you what the forms look like. But basically the surveys show up and you can ask questions and things like that. This is basically the gist of how management happens. Then we have what we call cohorts. This is why every time she goes into high school, she creates a new cohort. And then she can manage everything through that. If you go to cohort, this is where the participant will show up. Yes, I was in the class twice. You can open and close the registration. One of the things she really wanted was to be able to go into a school, pull up a QR code, and have someone scan it, and then be able to scan it and log in and everything. So this QR code works. You can scan it if you want. This actually goes to this page, which is what we're calling the participant landing page. So you can come in here, log in, take a survey every time. So just 2 or 3 kinds of surveys, whichever's open. You open the survey, do the whole thing. And you can register if the registration is closed. Open the registration, go to the QR code again, landing page, and you put register again. One of the things she really wanted in here as well was, just type this in. one of the things that they always want to be able to do when they get into class is they only have like 30 minutes to actually be able to do the whole class. And the first time they go in, they want to be able to do a survey. So the thing that we really wanted to hit here was be able to do it quickly. So we had to actually create two different kinds of authentication systems in the background. One was the regular whole, you put in your username, password, gets verified, and all that stuff. Then the other one was to be able to put it through your first name, last name, and PIN. And that's so that you can just easily go in. So most of these screens we created in a way that you could do it on your phone and stuff like that. So the part of actually being able to take the survey is not something we were able to fully finish. This was the last thing I was working on. We ran into a little issue. I already have some of it done. I just couldn't put it and deploy it. So I'm going to do this right after this, actually. But that's the whole application that we built. We had Kevin on our team, who was awesome to work with. We had Jeremy and Brandy. There was one other guy, I don't remember his name. Jeremy and that other person were not able to do a lot of work for us just because of the technology stack that I chose, which was .NET. So Kevin and I did primarily most of the work, and then Brandy helped us with UI work and a couple features. I also wanted to talk about my lessons learned and what made things successful. I think I met with Candace last Monday for the first time. One of the things that I did well doing this was I came up with mock-ups. So when I talked to my team, I had an exact way of exactly what we wanted it to look like. I sent the mock-ups to Candace beforehand, so she knew exactly what it was going to be. She asked me questions, I was able to relay everything. Lessons learned was I wasn't able to do enough upfront work and also bake in the time to train other people. I really wanted to help Jeremy learn .NET, but I wasn't able to find the time to do it. So if I had baked in a little bit of time for upward setting up of their development environment, because most of Friday nights, that's what we'd spend time on. Getting Jeremy and Kevin set up with all of our IDs and everything. That took a lot of time. If we hadn't spent that, it probably would have been a lot faster. But, yeah.
Great job. Looks awesome. It's a lot to do in a weekend, so. Next one is Look Like Maya, and that would be Alan.
All right, so Look Like Maya Foundation, their primary challenge was keeping track of all of their donors, everyone who's contributed things, whether it's money or otherwise. And for like a before-after kind of thing, the before was basically just imagine a big pile of spreadsheets and hold on one second. I think I typed that right. So with this particular approach, particularly these days, I know there's already CRM platforms out there. I wasn't really looking to invent yet another wheel. That we know that there's other options out there, including a handful of free ones. So before this weekend, I did some research. Figured there's a project called City CRM, which is specifically designed for nonprofits. It's a CRM for nonprofits, so it includes things like donation tracking and events and all that kind of stuff. So first part of the weekend was just getting City CRM up and running. And the way City CRM is set up is it basically lives inside of CMS. So whether it's WordPress or Drupal, there's a couple other ones. And so we have this is the production website. It's basically living inside of a WordPress instance. This WordPress instance is not meant for public consumption, so there won't be like pages and posts and all that kind of stuff. So basically you log into WordPress and you're using it only for the CRM system. So the first challenge of the weekend was just getting up a test instance, which turned out to be a bit of a headache, so we didn't really even have one up and running until Saturday morning, but once we did get something working, I spent a good chunk of the Saturday with their IT guy, who was kind enough to spend some of his Saturday spinning up what would be this production website. So additional thanks, along with my team, to Doug, their IT guy, so he was a big help for the weekend. So basically, this is, as you can imagine, the CRM system keeps track of, excuse me, contacts. There's a contribution section, there's events. This can do some mailing stuff, and their mass mailing, they're still going to use MailChimp, but if you really wanted to, you could do mass mailings from here as well, and there's some other plugins as well. There's a grants plugin, and there's some administration stuff over here. So as you can imagine, there's contacts. We've got a bunch of contacts already inserted. If you click on a contact, I got a dummy one in here. This will cross-reference all the contacts, contributions, and pledges, and memberships, events participation, and so on and so on. So yeah, this is a much cleaner approach than trying to maintain a bunch of spreadsheets that are pulling information from a bunch of different sources like PayPal and some other event websites. So yeah, lots of cross-reference stuff, a lot of reporting. This platform will even do things like printing mailing labels, and what was the other one? Yeah, there's a couple of like, hey, that's really cool, they can already do this kind of stuff. So I was happy to at least not have to reinvent yet another wheel. CiviCRM is really picky to install, but once it's up and running, it's actually mostly good. We're having some fun getting some of the data imported, but for the most part, this is up and running, and this, again, this is already the production website, so once we walk out here today, Bonnie can go in and start adding more stuff to it and doing whatever. So as far as the team goes, big thanks to Alan and Mayor and Brandon. They were here pretty much the entire weekend. And big thanks to our rep Bonnie, and again to Doug, their IT guy. And I guess if we're doing lessons learned is Azure is complicated. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And yeah, as far as this is my 12th GiveCamp and I think 10th as a team lead, and it kind of feels like the first time every single time. So that's all I'll say about that.
All right, and then last but not least is Motherless Daughters, and that would be David.
Microphones over here, and we have to do the one we have to hold.
I know. Good. Been switching out. Yeah.
All right, so the goal of our project was a memorial tribute wall. So there was a lot of pieces to the project that we had to make sure were in place. Solid submissions, being able to accept payments, being able to have a workflow to approve those that were submitted as far as things to go on the wall, making sure they show up on the wall, which is kind of important too. And then of course there was lots of marketing discussion on the first day as well. How do we put this out there? How do we sell this new service that we're offering? How do we get people to sign up for it? What prices do we put on these things to make it reasonable for them to want to take part in this? And so we spent the first day a lot going over the content here for the Memorial Tribute Wall portion of the website. So we added in a bunch of different sections for benefits. We came up with good price points and what you would get for that, making sure it was very clear to anyone who was coming to the site what the service and features was. And we spent time building the actual form itself, making sure we had all the fields, validations were working, everything was good. I'm not going to spend the time, it's a longer form, so I'm just going to assume that I'm going to close out and show you what it looks like when it's filled out. They can go through and it's hooked up to their payment, so everything comes through for them once a user submits the form. there's some frequently asked questions here at the bottom. They spend some time thinking about all the different things that people could possibly ask. And the user comes here, they fill this out, they submit it, and what it does is it comes into, No, I want to show them one other area first, which is under the entries. So we found out that there's a pretty cool feature of one of the plugins they're using that allows them to actually, they filter by that particular form. They can, this is where the entries actually come into, whereas when it's hooked up to their payment stuff, it actually gives them the features to be able to see for that particular registration form, track money incoming. So they can actually look at this, get some built-in reporting. We didn't actually have to write any functionality for this. So this is going to be very handy over time as well. When the memorials come in, they come into an area in here that we created for them in WordPress. So they can see any new entries will come in here as drafts. So those they'll know that they have to review them. And when they're ready, they publish them from in here. And when they're published, they show up here on the wall. And still have a few pieces of functionality we want to build, such as the ability to search for specific people's names, filter some things down. But we show here, there's different tiers. You can clearly see on the cards the numbers that indicate the tier level that the person purchased. We're going to do a little bit more color coding to also designate the tier that they've purchased. We have a nice cool feature where you can one actually has something on the back where they can submit some content and you can actually read the memorial here on the back of the card. So it's kind of like a little tribute on the front and then some content here on the back. We also did a bunch of other stuff when we were going through this, just talking about the website in general, just some other things, some general maintenance, since we had a little bit of time. But we had a great team. I think several of them are actually, I see Scott came back. Scott was home yesterday. Scott helped us with a lot of the graphics for the wall itself. Our developers that aren't here, David and Rob, spent a lot of time getting some of the components and trying to figure out all the different functionality and some licensing concerns. And then we have over here Jeremy and Jeff, who spent a lot of time helping us debug, test, fix up a lot of little UI and UX things today. So I've lost track of how many GiveCamps this is for me, and as far as the team lead. But you know, lessons learned is that WordPress is more complicated than you think to get things the way they are, so leave a lot of extra time to do what you needed to do. So that's it.
I was pinged by one of my esteemed other organizers. Normally we have the nonprofit stand up here with the team lead, so I'll just do it this way. Does any of the nonprofits want to say something very, like just what they feel, how they're feeling, things they wanted to highlight about the team? You probably all want to say something, so I'll just walk this around. So.
I was very impressed. I didn't know, I told them when we had our interview or whatever that I had no idea what to expect. But I think you guys worked your butts off and I'm super grateful and I'm excited to play around with my new database and have auto-generate labels, and I think it's going to make my life a lot easier. So thank you guys very, very much. You guys did a great job.
I am just so appreciative of the efforts of our team, how patient they were with me, how well everyone worked to explain the why and the how, and I just really love that this is going to give Epic House a very professional web presence. It's a tool that's going to grow as Epic's able to grow our impact, and I really look forward to being able to tell this group what it's been able to do for Epic. So I think that it's been a really wonderful experience. Thanks.
I want to personally thank all of you because they were amazing. Things that I was in awe about is how their brains work and their communication. They have a whole different language that was very foreign to me. But their patience also helping me navigate, and their kindness to not only pay attention to when I asked a question or asked us for something, but they also opened up to make sure I was included. And then the work and the dedication. Once they're in the zone, they're in the zone. And I think the room could blow over and they wouldn't even stop. And today was just amazing watching everything come alive, as I had mentioned. So, and I know the rest of my team that came has said this highly things about them behind their backs that they don't know about. So I want to really thank you. And thanks Southwest too. This is wonderful.
Okay, there's three of us, so you get to hear three, okay? But this has just been such an awesome experience. And we're blessed that all of you have given your gifts to us. But you know what, the one thing that I think is so important is we laughed. We laughed like crazy. So in my perspective, we kind of got our act together. And we were really collaborating and working with each other and challenging each other and communicating. And it was wonderful. It was really wonderful. Now, I'll shut up.
This was an awesome experience. And I want to thank all of you, not just our team, but everyone involved. This is a marvelous gift to any not-for-profit organization. We've been in existence for 22 years. We had not got any of the expertise that we needed for this. This was nothing but an idea that came up in one of our meetings. And to see it come alive was just totally awesome. We are just blown away by your knowledge, by your expertise, and by your willingness to share your expertise. Personally, it was very meaningful for me. My daughter passed 2 years ago, and she was, what have you, an IT nerd. And so I felt very much at home because she's one of those people that would have come here with her backpack and a water bottle and just camped out the entire weekend until the problems were solved. So I felt very much at home. Thank you for inviting us in.
So appreciative of the team. They definitely put in hard work, and especially for us being more of a newer nonprofit, even though I've been helping women for a long time. The struggle is just having the funds to actually make the dream come true, ultimately. So being able to have this available to us is a huge blessing. So I just appreciate everyone and your contributions for every nonprofit. It's just a blessing. Thank you so much.
We appreciate all of you, for sure. So, some final wrap-up things. We wanted to highlight our sponsors again. These sponsors we've, pretty much been with the whole time. The core sponsors, I would say, we've had sponsors come and go, but, once again, since we kind of went dark a little bit after COVID, these are people that stay with us and still continue to help us along, and also people also give personal donations too. So, want to thank Miami again. So we've been here like the whole time, and the big thing after COVID, we couldn't come back. We had a small event at the Engage office in February because we had to postpone, and COVID, basically they couldn't have food in here and things like that, so we decided not to do it. And then we were also talking like, are they gonna let us come back? Working with the director, there's another director here. We actually started with the director. He's retired. There's a new one here, but they don't have the staff to host external events anymore from this facility. So they only do internal Miami events. They stopped doing external events. They just don't have the staff to manage, bringing people in. And so we're the only external event they do. And not that they couldn't have people here, they just don't. And so they continue to work with us because they love what we do. So it's pretty cool that they still, basically open the building for us. And then Pay It Forward is our nonprofit sponsor. So we thank them for basically, they're a fiscal sponsor. So we thank them for continuing with us and doing that kind of thing. So, and we're always looking for additional help. So, we ask for it every year. We get some uptake, which is great, but as organizers, we've been doing this for a while, so we'd love to have people coming in and maybe even starting to think about handing over the reins. We can help people come along for more of the tactical stuff, but if you were here, you're like, this is something I really want to get involved in. Alan will tell you, he's tried to come in too, but we're not great at delegating. So maybe Alan can help us delegate more, but we're getting there. We're trying our best. So if you guys are interested in, helping out organizing this event, we would take it. And obviously, if you know of any sponsors, your company, whatever, that's looking for, nonprofit events like this that would help, we would look for them. And then obviously we're starting up again, so tell your friends, go back to work, wherever you're coming from, tell your peers, like, hey, you only come here for the weekend, the deal with this is whatever happens at GiveCamp stays at GiveCamp. So tell they can come for the weekend and there's no obligation other than how awesome it is here to be with a group of people that want to give back. And spread the word. Once again, it's all word of mouth. So please go out and tell everybody you work with to come next year. We're planning on doing this again. October is our time. So it'll be around either this weekend or the following weekend in October. So look for us then. So I think, and then I'll leave this up. This is just our social media, but just wanted to thank my fellow organizers. So Mike for all the website stuff. He does all the website stuff. He continues to get us bugging him about getting stuff out there. Oh, this isn't right, that isn't right. Oh, he didn't do that. Mike usually gets picked on us by he's like the GiveCamp team. Once again, we told the nonprofit leads, we don't do our own project because the cobblers kids don't have shoes. Right. So we don't bring our team in to help with our website. So it's really it's Mike. So thank you, Mike, and all the other stuff you do. Jason, he's the rock. So he keeps us when we're kind of getting down. He's like, come on, guys, let's go. So he pumps us up. This is awesome. Eric, who's not here, is the organizer. He's the organizer. He keeps us on track. So he'll be back in a little bit, but he had to run to his kid's final soccer game. They're in the finals. So normally he'd be up here, and he probably wouldn't have said anything about security. So that's what they got me up here. I know, and Eric's the one's got to do it. He's not going to be happy with it. And then David's been organizing for about 5 years now? Yeah, so he's team lead though. He doesn't want to stop team leading, but he wants to help out organizing. So you can do both if you really want to do both. But so thank you for all your help there, keeping us on target. Tim, who's our nonprofit kind of organizer, he couldn't be here this weekend because he's house hunting. He was here on Friday night, but the team leads will know. He kind of helps bring the team leads together and things like that. So, and then Angie, Jason was like, don't forget Angie. Angie does all the food. So 100%, all the food you ate, everything was here, is all because Angie did it. So. See, I was saying this because I never got in class for that. Nobody cares about the other stuff. Oh, but food! Gotta have the food, right?
People must be fed.
That's right. So thank you, Andy, for all that running around. And I think, anybody else the Engage, who is it? Andy, I'm not going to remember anybody. You want to talk and say all those people that helped you with the food?
We just had a crew of people that came in and helped me. A variety of people that came by and helped me run out, get things, and be able to track them down. So they were all very helpful. And
shirt today, I guess it's the 30th or something. And when I wear it for the third, I don't care, I wore mine for the third day in a row. Anyway. And I think that's it. So with that, thank you again for everybody coming here, it's been great. I don't know, hope to see you guys next year. Looking forward to it, so thank you.